down this person. Let's find a purpose and run with it. And if I've left out anything, probably I'll come back and explain. Because when I listen to different people, they're like, like you need your own path to just work on it. We will support you. I don't intend to hold a space. Oh no, agriculture and livestock is my thing. And I think with 254, we also said we're going to run a space on pharma pharmaceutical giants madness. Um, so yeah, people need to find, and so the people of the like of Ken Afrocentric, KOT, RSG, all of you guys, you can decide. I personally will put my voice on this team. Then once a week, every team briefs us, and you will see how much we will gain ground, and we need to do a door-to-door civic education. I think I ran that space with RasG, where we were just appealing to people, talk to guys on the ground. Today was an eye opener that the ground is actually very aware, but more needs to be done. Because for the longest, people have been guilt tripping us. Oh, it's the old that actually vote, and they will vote for government. But today they've proven that the silent majority is awake, it is woke, informed, and determined to bring change. And they're not going to be swayed. I yield the mic. I thank you for the opportunity. But if you don't mind, I like to hear what happened today and how is Morara. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing Kenya turning into something Kenya. Very powerful point. Indeed, and this is one issue I differ with some people on this app is trying to tunnel vision the movement into one topic. And let's say, guys, let's all train our missiles, our guns, our energy on Adani. Boss, this is Kenya. There are so many moving parts. You need to understand how to juggle. You need to understand how to fight a war on different fronts. We look at Adani only, the energy sector is going, pipeline is going, uh, universities are closing, the funding model has been approved. Like, we have to be able, to your point, nothing Kenya, we need to be able to, each one of us, concentrate on one thing, and make sure that we are holding them accountable. Because at this point now, if you're living in this country, you're an activist. You have to make sure we are doing the opposition's job. So we can't just lock in. And we need to understand these individuals who are forcing us, like, guys, do not only lock in on shift. Boss, there are some, we are getting beaten on other sides, on other fronts. So we have to concentrate on different fronts and defeat Ruto and this corrupt regime on all battlefronts. So I'm calling I'm calling for, listen, a diverse, versatile strategy. We're in a very dynamic environment, and every issue that this government is dealing with, every CS needs a torch, needs to be surveilled, needs to be scrutinized. We need accountability and transparency in every sector. And if we detect any form of corruption, any mishap, you need to bring it to the TL, and we need to know. A whistleblower doesn't have to say, "Hey, I will not bring up my issue because I'll be diverting the country from JKIA." No, 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 no. Anything that is going on right now, we need to highlight it. And we, the movement, we have the manpower, we have the muscle power, we to highlight it. Anyway, Daniel, you have something to add on before I pass the microphone to someone else? Danny Kinyo.
Yeah, sorry. I was have a tiny kitten. Yeah. Anyway, I loved what the lady was saying. It's very performative. I loved the points she was putting across. And also, I think the fights and like the way you were saying, trying to pigeonhole the entire thing into a single point, that is a bad thing. That's why I was proposing a council, so that you can also have your own multiple moving parts. Because if you have everyone focusing on a single thing that way, it's even easier to mess with you. Because what happens is that they only have one point of focus. But if you have a group that is every day focusing on a Dani, another, like there's the like there are certain prominent guys, because obviously people like us don't have many followers. We only have like 10, 15, 100, 200. So we have a certain set of like the big guys who, I'm going to focus on this and make this trend. I'm going to focus on this and make this trend. I'm going to focus on that, make that trend. So that at every day people are waking up and it's almost like a current events trending things that we know what's happening to us. You don't underestimate the human mind to absorb information, even if it's a lot. We can know today Adani is here, today Shif is here, today Gashagwa and whatever is here. Like you can have multiple moving parts also, so that even them, they don't know what to focus on. Because you know they if they see you have a hashtag that's too big, they start throwing their own useless hashtags. Now they're even going to be more confused, because if you have like three prominent hashtags on very important things currently always running on our minds, like we do not forget Adani because Gashagwa, like we definitely remember Adani, like, and that is the job of that group. Kazi yenyu ni kumake sure tusahau, like if you have, that's why I'm saying a council, so that we also have our own moving parts. Multi the power of numbers, you have the power of overwhelming them, because their machinery is only so strong. And no matter how much we think the government is strong, the government is only strong to a certain extent, and after that it is not as strong as you think. There's only so much violence the government can do, there's only so much intelligence the government can have, there's only so many people the government can go for at the same time, because it also has its own internal issues and its own internal bazillion things it needs to do. There is only so much Ruto can do. So what we need to do is overwhelm the guy with things he has to react to. And we can do that so easily. It is effortless for us because we are many. Most of us are young, people are jobless. Like we literally have all day, and we are all online. We have all day and all night. Ruto does it. His government, even if it's a 24-hour running, they need to consult. We don't. We just sit there and we are like, by the way, this thing is pissing us off. Let's go with it. The council picks it up. This thing is pissing us off. Let's go with it. The council picks it. Even Akina Itumbi and these guys, they will be overwhelmed, which is what I think we should do. Apole, I'm done. I have a kitten. I hope it's not making too much noise.
I was wondering. I was like, manze patie kitu maziwa.
No, it was, I gave it. It was abandoned, so I was just feeding it, and it seems like it wants to sing all night. Anyway,
Hiyo paka inasema Ruto must go.
yeah, I
Anyway,
think he may jam. I think he may jam, but I'm just using it as a parrot to sing now because it doesn't shut up. I think it's missing or
anyway.
something. Anyway, pole for that. Just use it as a soundtrack for Ruto Must Go. Put a beat on it.
Haya, Redemptor, karibu kwenye space. What are your thoughts
Thank you
on
very
the
much.
Bomas Debrief?
This, yeah, Xerox, kindly, your mic. Before the cat comes back, the kitten. As a mother, because I never divorced myself from that role, as a mother, my heart goes out to both Morara and Kasmo, both of them. Of course, again, as a mother, I'm upset at them for different reasons, which is very scary for someone who's watching their loved one being courageous. And the worst part about it, shouldn't say worst, but the most interesting thing about courage right now, it's people are hanging on to it. On Tuesday, I wanted to write, I'm still going to draft a Dear John letter to the Gen Zs and the millennials and say I'm done with you guys. I'll just be very honest with everyone, even if government is listening. On Tuesday, that's the day Morara was arrested. Coincidentally, I had tried to call him in the morning. So when he was arrested, I was like, oh my goodness, now my number. Now, what was I calling him about? Then when he was arrested, I posted in groups. A very prominent lawyer who's been helping us over the years was like, where is he? Where can I go? What? And so calling calls and then I come to space and I meet nothing who just tears me down. I came to listen. It was a hard day for me. And after that, I said, you know what? I can't save Kenya. And these young people know what they're doing and they're easily offended by older people. And I came to the conclusion that the Gen Zs tell you to your face what they're thinking. But I think the one thing that will make Ruto go is because the millennials are not very forgiving. So that two combination, and I need that to happen. This country has to be saved from where we are. And my area of activism is brutalized Kenyans. I know what happens to activists. And that's why I'm saying my heart goes out to anyone, even you Afrocentric, anybody who's agreed to put themselves out here. And I just wish we extend each other grace in terms of even that small. I know people are upset the way the same people were upset last time. Is that I think someone, the one who had a kitten, Xerox, has gone. He has said things that could make him get cancelled. I am just realizing Kenyans are so desperate for a hero, so desperate for a hero that you cannot even mention the name of a hero and not get people come. I'm in at WhatsApp groups where people discuss should they have started a political party right now, and then people just react because they need this. Who are saying you need this one person who is so courageous, and we've done this for 10 years. I don't know if people realize that. Every time somebody told someone else off, Moses Kuria was famous because of insulting Raila. And so it's a trauma that as a nation we are used to. Nothing has raised a hand. I don't know if you can wait for me to finish. One day when these young people, the 4 of them, I think it was Casmoel. I'm talking about this because I've said this is my area in terms of just documenting what courage does to people. And when they talked, I was walking in the streets and I met a man who told me, those young people are wamekosa heshima. I was so upset, my voice was shaking because I asked him, how have my generation been talking to each other for the last 10 years? Mtu akitandawili and the rest of it. So I don't want to talk much today. I just know that I just want to extend grace to anybody and that forgotten person who came out in the streets. And I went to a platform and I said, some of people come and say, let's go and ban, let's go and do this. They don't even show up in the streets. And so when I say those questions, people think I'm saying don't go to the streets. I'm just saying it worries me. There are 600 bodies in a morgue and nobody knows who those people are. And my encouragement has always been go to the streets with conviction, but also go with caution. There are people who are going to the streets because they are depressed and people are committing suicide by cop. Those are things that exist. So I don't come here because I know how to save Kenya or I know more than anybody else. I come here because from June, when my children went out to the streets and they came back defeated. Some came back with survivor's guilt because people survived. Today, I'm just hearing the voice of Ileche in my head. She's called Ileche. And I had posted something about, it's called Freudian sleep. A Freudian sleep is something you're thinking, but you didn't mean to say it, but you said it. So when she said pig, and then wacheni kupigana, she already expressed that she was wishing violence on a 28-year-old. I'm sure she could be my age. So I come to these pieces maybe without humility because of also the anger that I feel about the brutalized Kenyans, the forgotten victims. So I don't know how to treat us like other people. I don't know how to advocate. I am afraid sometimes, but mostly I'm driven by I'd rather die defending this country than live as scared because I've spoken. So you might not hear me say Ruto might go. You might not hear, because I saw people brutalized. I live with, I've met people who are in Nyayo torture chambers, and that kind of puts fear in you whether you want to. So when I see young people who are courageous, I encourage them, and that's why I'm saying my heart is going out to Kasmuel, because it's gonna be a tough couple of days ahead for him. And my heart goes out to Morara, because I saw a chair hitting, and so I'm just thinking, did he break a hand? You can't unsee violence. Sometimes you don't like violence, and then to see it was a woman who started it. I mean, it's just been a tough day. So because this is a debrief, last time it was a debrief for Morara. This is a debrief for Bomas Afrocentric. I know what you're saying when you say you started hosting, because people are looking for a savior, and I think Christianity also has played that role, because we were told about a Messiah, and so Kenyans need a savior, but the savior is you and I. That little courage that you have, that little thing you're doing, and sometimes I am intentional about the people who are regime enforcers. I don't know what's wrong with them, and right now, Francis, let me tell you before I finish the discussion that is going on. What has happened today has upset so many people, because it has polarized Kenyans even more on tribal lines, because now it's Mtuwetu. And if you notice, some of those rants were Ruto must go, and then Chakashagwa at the same time they were chanting them. So yeah, that's my take for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Redemptor. Have explained a lot, and a lot of wisdom there, and but a lot of understanding is needed, especially from the cross generational, especially millennials and Gen Zs, who, for us, we are experiencing this brutality firsthand, and that's why sometimes we might appear rude, rash, and thoughtless, and we might be diving into things, headlong, head fast. And even one of the issues we had in June and July was many parents telling their children, if you go on the streets, if you get arrested, don't call us. If you die, we will not. Like, a lot of fear was already perpetuated by the generation that had accepted the status quo. So when we try to break this glass ceiling, this steel ceiling, I believe that's where we have been having a disconnect. But thank you for coming and supporting. I'm a witness to the fact that you have supported and encouraged us throughout the weeks, especially as the bodies piled up, as the violence intensified, as the threats intensified. Thank you for standing strong. Thank you for standing strong. Nothing, Kenyan, please rebuttal. Your name was dropped. Your hand was up.
Yep. So, this is what I have to say. The day Morara was arrested, uh, we were discussing this. But what flipped the switch for me was, we have people who are here solidarity with the movement, and they were not retweeting Free Morara. So I went through, you see the way we're on the space, I was going through people's profile and I called them out. If that's a crime, I'm standing on my word to the very end. Why? It took the noise we made about Bob Njagi, and so many others for them to find freedom. If we go silent, they silence those people. So it doesn't make sense for anybody to tell me I'm standing with my movement, and because I was asking them, what does it cost you to just retweet and say Free Morara? If that was my crime, I stand by my crime. Yes, I understand there is cross-generational issue. It's called generational intelligence. We just tell it as it is. I never called anybody a word. I called out the truth. I said the truth. And a lot of people came to my DM and said, Thank you for calling out our hypocrisy. And they started retweeting. And these are people I've connected with on spaces. In fact, one had hosted us in a space the day before. Said, thank you for calling. He says, I didn't say it that way until you called me out. Not of our age. So it is how someone chooses to receive the information. When it's not about you, you pick what the message is and run with it. But when it's about you, then it stalls you because somebody is telling you, diverting you from what you're focused on. There's something about, what is it called? A subconscious direction. Because if we are standing with Afrocentric, never met Morara. If I'm standing with Afrocentric, Rasji, when Rasji was having challenges that morning, we were calling lawyers. We tried, we were sharing. And a lot of people said, you know what, flooded my timeline. I was telling them, don't focus on me. They're saying, you know what, nothing. We give you your flowers. You said something that needed to be said. And let's be consciously aware that one life, first of all, we are so wounded over the people we have lost. A friend of mine, I co-host with him a space about let's not forget them. The pain we have gone through, the people we lost in Rex Masai. How can someone say, I've done so much for the movement when people's children are 6 feet under? Let's not be those kind of people. Let's commit. If for those who want to drop out, mad respect. But if we're going to commit to the movement, we need to remember that there are people who will never walk out again. There are people who are trying to get prosthetic feet. There are people who we are trying to see if they can go for corrective surgery. They lost their lives. They lost part of their body. They'll never recover that. So we cannot walk on eggshell. That is why it is for that awareness that when it was about Morara, earlier that day, we had a space with Wanyama on justice for Bruce. So people, I said in a difference in a separate space, and Redemptor, you raised this in a separate space. We were in a Christian space, and I understand it came up, and all the people who are on that space are people I've hired spaces with, had difficult conversation, and those conversation brought us together. And not that we agreed on some things, but we kept digging so that we figure out a direction. And they were DMing them, and I was telling them, I'm not falling for that bait. I'm focusing on something else. And then now this is a different space, and it's still the same thing. Just take a moment and look yourself in the mirror and say, what is going on? Think about what goes through with Rex Masai's mom. Put yourself in there. And even that day is what I told you guys. Put yourself, if that was your child, if that was your brother, what would you want people to do? So let's not mix issue on that. And even that day, Rashi asked me to apologize. And I said, I won't apologize. We had a different space. And my friends were like, oh, what really happened? Like, no, nothing, why didn't you apologize? And
because
then we
you
ran a
called my
Christian
name
space.
out. Nothing. You know your name
I
is
did call. You are not the only name I called out.
No, I was the only woman you called out. The other guys you called them, the other guys who've left. But you said, do not give Redemptor a mic. And I'm just saying, and I'm saying this with a lot of humility, because I've met you in a Christian space. The way you're saying, I look myself in the mirror, to call out someone for not tweeting. And even now, there's a guilt tripping kind of thing telling me about Rex Masai. Don't do that. I am human. When I get
I
happy,
said
because
that on that day. Redemptor, let me finalize, and then I give you your moment. I said that on that day. I told you guys about the people we have lost, about the people who have injured. Any space I speak on, that is, I start by saluting our lost comrade. So let's not trivialize that. It's not about guilt tripping. It's a fact. Someone is living that as their reality. So let's focus on what do we need to do. Let's save every life we can. Let's help where we can. That's the direction as a country. We were not freedom fighters 3 months ago, but we have a country. We cannot unlearn the things that we have learned. The only way is to fail forward. And I said, do not give anybody a mic unless they are retweeting free Morara, because we are not here for notoriety. We are here with a purpose, and our purpose is save Kenya. That is what I said. I said, don't give people who are not retweeting this a mic. That's what I told Kenatoraya and KUT.
Then you mentioned my name, said don't give Rede, and I'm not
I
even
did.
requested for the
And,
mic.
and you're not the only name I
No,
mentioned.
but you mentioned nothing. You mentioned my name in a space on a day that everyone was hurting. You mentioned my name. And now you say you're standing by, you said everyone has to retreat. Retreating is not the only thing that people do to serve the people who are hurt. So do not bring Rex's name in this fight. This is between me and you. It has nothing with the fallen comrades. And I keep bringing it up because there was a young man who died before Rex, and the forgotten victims for me were there was a lot of, okay, where's the guy who left? There's an idol worship of if someone is put on a pedestal there, and I want you to note this, there are many people people don't even make a poster for. They're forgotten victims. So I knew this guy was taken care of. Tweeting is not my strength. X is a new thing to me. So when you judge people on Twitter and you call out someone by name and your name is not your real name, I just want you, then the reason why I'm talking to you again, because you came to that space and you left before I spoke, was
Redemptor.
as long as someone is putting
Redemptor.
their name out there.
Redemptor. Redemptor and nothing Afro Kiasi too, because I've handled these two ladies. They are very wonderful ladies. And Redemptor and nothing, I think we are comrades in the same journey. We are Kenyans with a common enemy. Our enemy is one. Our issues, whatever we are talking here, we are all talking the same language. We're talking the same language. I thought this was over on KOT space. I thought you had. Please let us not go there.
Thank you. That's the only reason thank you. That's the only reason I took this mic because I
Rasti.
mean,
Thank you, Rasti.
kindly
Thank you.
let us,
Thank you. People,
let us.
even my DM guys are saying, drop that issue. Let's focus on what is important, our
So
country
finish
being
nothing.
turned.
Just
Thank you.
finish what you are saying. So put that one aside. We'll handle it later. But let us just focus on the.
That's on the back. Thank you, Rasti. Back pedal.
Oh, we are a family at the end of the day, and sometimes, house cleaning is very important. A redemptor is not a cherubim, and nothing is not a seraphim, and I am not Angel Michael. We are human beings, and sometimes, by the way, do you know 80% of communication is not verbal? So to misunderstand each other is allowed. And we can disagree on methodology, but we should never differ from in terms of principle. So of how we do things, on how we communicate things, it can be different. But like Rasji said, the principle is one, the objective is one. Ruto must go. And I've listened to Redemptor and nothing, both of them, Damu Ruto must go. And Redemptor, please have a lot of allowance towards nothing Kenyan if she was asking for everyone to retweet the hashtag Justice for Bruce. I am a host and I've been a co-host, and sometimes it is very annoying. I remember in June when we were saying stop killings in Githurai and stop killings in Rongai, and I would take the mic and I say, guys, this has to be number one on the timeline. Everyone, we are 2,000 in this space, retweet, and just like 200 people, the rest are just watching. And I wish we were in an auditorium like Bomas. I would go around and just slap everyone who is not. Like sometimes when an issue has entered your veins, please understand when the co-host or the host or anyone a speaker is on another dimension, like they are feeling this deeply. And also understand the people who are not, because there are people who are listening, some people who are at work right now, They have headphones. We have Kenyans in the diaspora in Dubai, Australia. They can't respond. Maybe they're operating machinery, maybe on the computer, they can't respond. And some people are just curious, like, what's going on? What's going on? And in every working system, 20% go to any organization, 20% of the people affect 100%. The rest are just spectators. So if 20%, me always gauge mathematically, if we are here 250, provided 20% are engaging, me, I'm good. But in terms of getting 100%, it will never work. But I will ask, like RSG has called or nothing, and Redemptor, please, let's squash this, because this is not a real. There's no real enmity between you two. It's just a misunderstanding. Understand nothing. Key was very passionate. Kenyan was passionate about where she was coming from in terms of free justice for Bruce. We know what the atrocity, what was done to him by the Mombasa governor. And then Redemptor also, who she has explained, she had a long day and she has been fighting for this movement in different capacities and different functions. So to be called out on a space like that and being told not be given a mic, when I see her give a mic immediately, because I know, hey, the work she does, and just to identify with us. And I also had her on another. She was on, she's very new, so she doesn't know which parts of the forest not to go. Aliingia ile msitu ya Kibe na ule IQ Watson na walianza kumkaranga, and I was there listening secretly. Jones is anonymous on these streets. You have to be, anonymous. And also nikasikia Redemptor akisema, me, I am with the movement and I am with those radical, because they were trying to flip her to be pro government. Yeah, you need to know who you associate with. You just can't be associating with people for because you will be working with DCI and you don't know. So welcome to Twitter Streets, Redemptor. It is cutthroat here, but we also tell you the truth. A spoon is a spoon here, not a big. A spade is a spade, not a big spoon. But guys, let's move forward. Pambazuka, Mike Nyako.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Habari zenu jamani. Okay. Thank you for this space. Today, I want to just tell you a short story. I was triggered today when I saw Casmuel after I had witnessed Morara being, um, attacked. What triggered me was he reminded me of the late Sir Charles Njonjo, the Attorney General of Kenya. And the reason he reminded me of him was we used to call Sir Charles Njonjo four-piece suit Njonjo. And the reason we called him that was because, in retrospect, I really believe he loved the Brits more than he loved himself. And the reason why I was triggered today is because I grew up coming from school. I went to Muthaiga Primary School. It was around the time J.M. Kariuki's body had been found. And I would come home. I was fortunate enough to have grown up in East Africa's earliest indigenous art gallery. And I would sit next to Samuel Wanjao, the late, who would tell me stories about the hole that I noticed he had in his elbow and how he got it from the home guards. He was a Mau Mau freedom fighter, and he was a resident artist, and he had developed a skill in sculpting, and his sculptures were beautiful. He was gifted and recognized to the extent that he was commissioned to carve a statue that was going to be placed in front of Parliament buildings. Okay? He took a long time to create the framework for the Mau Mau freedom fighter. I used to run from school to sit behind the compound and watch him. And he would tell me songs and he would sing songs in Kikuyu. Finally, the project was done and it was time for it to be delivered to Parliament buildings. So of course, Sir Charles Njonjo was in charge of coming and making sure that it was in good shape to be taken there. Guess what? He came and he shattered Samuel Wanjau's dreams of his work being placed in front of Parliament buildings, his life's work, a representation of what he himself had gone through as a Mau Mau freedom fighter. And the reason that Charles Njonjo gave was it's too raw for public places. It's too angry. Okay? So when I saw Casmoil today, the sellout that he is in his gear and garb, it brought back that memory. And I said, you know, as much as things change, some things stay the same. And for me, this movement means to me what nothing KE had said earlier. Each of us have our spaces, our voices. For me, my space is going to be creating healing spaces where creatives are not suppressed, okay? Because what I witnessed after that was the downhill spiral of Samuel Wanjau's life, and I'm currently writing my memoir, and I'm going to have it ready next year, and I'm going to have it published, and it's going to be a reimagining of new creative spaces in Kenya. And I believe this movement is going to alight in all of us a fire to be true to who we are. Because as we see things evolve, I don't know if it's the journey or the destination that really matters at this point. I don't think there's a destination because with every chip of the cement that Samuel Wanjau went through, right? With every song he sang, he didn't get to the destination he wanted to. Sadly, he died a poor man, but there are lessons that other artists around him learned. I learned lessons too. So I just, felt very passionate today when I saw what I saw. But I'm also very encouraged because when I saw Caroline Chep 2, I saw, the older generation talking with having found their voice. I am very, very encouraged. So that's the story I wanted to share with you all today. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Pambazuka, for your points. Jeffy?
Afro. Afro?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Before we bring in Jesse, I'll be co-hosting with Afro, and let me just take. I'll bring in Jesse Badai, but let me just take an account of what happened today, because we were at Bomas, and I can report to you that wherever Morara is, he's fine. He was injured. He was taken to the hospital, but he's fine. And I believe that his lawyers are handling the matter. I think he will be going to court. And it is just a matter of waiting and being patient. For now, I would not say so much. He will be speaking for himself. Now, it's unfortunate that today, the happenings that took place today at this very moment, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission that draws a salary from taxpayers hasn't issued any statement regarding that issue. The police has not issued any statement condemning those what happened at Bomas, and all the apparatus of security, all the institutions that are mandated to safeguard our peace and harmony as a republic. Nothing from the government. But we are not surprised. It is expected. It is expected because what happened today was not anything like public participation. This, to me, the way, if I wear the political lenses, I describe it as this was an ODM delegation. This was an ODM or NNDC in partnership with the government of the day. And at this juncture, I know there are friends of ODM who might be here. I know there are friends of the state who might be here. And this message can reach to your friends. I would want to remind ODM that the era of using anarchy, violence to pass any political messages are gone. And to the politicians in Nairobi who have decided or who think that Nairobi is home, I heard one of them say it, and this message is directed to TJ Kajwang, Aladwas, and this woman from Dagoretti and Naitwa Nani. Those are the people, they are politicians in Nairobi that they have made Nairobi as their backyard. They will not entertain any any opposition or any voice that seems to be questioning their work or seems to be disagreeing with them. Let them know that there is a new constituency in town. And that constituency is the mind of Kenyans and not the mind that were used to be swayed by politicians. There's another constituency that is coming to define the politics of the country. The problem with our nation is leadership deficits. We are having politicians masquerading as leaders. We know when they know very well. And that's why unaona William Ruto right now, he's in the business of making politicians very comfortable. Very comfortable. Yesterday, if you checked, even after the High Court declared CDF unconstitutional, the national government may release pesa to the MPs through CDF when the courts have already pronounced themselves. William Ruto is busy courting politicians, and because he's courting politicians, William Ruto believes he does not draw the power from wananchi. He will court the politicians, and if we are not careful, it is a matter of time before he extends his term in office. So we should be very careful. When you hear motions like those ones, they are just testing waters. And even what happened today to Morara at Bomas, it is something that was well calculated. They planned it. You cannot tell the whole nation that you are making public participation, a public participation that happens so fast. Umekusanya, you have made 47 counties to sit down, umeorganize, everything set. And you cannot do that when it comes to Adani. You cannot call public participation. When it comes to Chief, you cannot call public participation. When you come to these other things, you don't call for public participation. But this one, you are so quick. And then you choreograph, you organize it in such a manner that you want to use the republic to rubber stamp your decision. I want to salute all Kenyans from all walks of life, regardless of their tribe. William Ruto, I know very well, he's sitting down with his intelligence. And if his intelligence is not giving him the correct intelligence, then the message is out clear. Eldoret, the backyard, has said if the driver is wrong, the conductor is wrong. Da angusha driver, da angusha makanga. So this idea of William Ruto wanting to use an impeachment motion, it's not that we are defending Gachagua. Gachagua is equally corrupt and as worse as Ruto. But we will not allow William Ruto to misuse our constitution, use our constitution, misuse the institutions in this republic to rubber stamp his own ideas. It's not always everything is about and everything revolves around Ruto. So, as Kenyans, The moment tuko kwa hii space unasikia wewe na mwenzako mnajibishana. I want to remind you every day. Tunaweza differ on opinion on any other things. But let us not allow ourselves to be divided. It's unfortunate, and I've said this before. This revolution will finally expose the hypocrites in this movement. You saw it today when Kasmuel, and I hate mentioning his name, when Kasmuel was first caught in the act with a politician. He came here saying, no, it is just an innocent picture, nini. I've been politics at a very young age. I know politics is a game of perception. Leo hii mkikaa hivi munione na Ruto nimepiga picha na Ruto, don't take that photo very innocent. I'm simply hanging out with a thief. So it is a matter of time before I become a thief. Wanielewa? So Kasmuel defended himself, but history will come to judge him. Ndio huyu amepatikana ya leo. There is a guy who has even inboxed me here. Was seated right behind Kasmuel. Kasmuel was coached by the legislators in this Nairobi. Vile ataenda kuenda pale mbele aende ongee. And I want my brothers and sisters in the diaspora. There is a madam mwenye ameongea hapa. Na huyo ni madam na heshima yake na ni mtu Mungu amempa miaka mingi, amewapea historia. Such guys are there. Go and read our history. There are people who infiltrate, they will masquerade, they will behave as if they are saviors, but they are not. They are just puppets of these oppressors. And Kasmuel is one of them. And I want the people in the diaspora to mark Kasmuel. Kasmuel, from today, has been banned from representing any views. Anything that Kasmuel says, hiyo ni personal stuff yake na uko. Ni yeye peke yake, aende ongea. And somebody who has seen ODM work and Azimio work, I can guarantee you today, Kasmuel, hata akienda hiyo ODM, they will not help him. Betrayal is paid. You cannot betray the other people and then come and join this other camp, wadhania utawabetray. So Kasmuel simply ameua career yake hivyo because of simple greed. And we have said long time ago, William Ruto has looted a lot of billions. Ataleta hapa kwa ground. If akileta hapa kwa ground, money is good, it's okay. But there is a lot at stake in the republic. There are people outside there, like people in the diaspora, who are looking to come back home. With all they have invested, will they be bringing this government? Wataleta hii serikali yenye inachukua kila kitu. Is that what you want? No, that is not what we want. There is no future here at home. Some of us, tumekuwa tukifuatwa na hizi Subaru usiku na mchana. Even Redem nani ameongea hapa sahi. But we decided, regardless of what. Kwa sababu hapa, kuna watu walikuja kutafuta, mwenye alikuja kutafuta publicity kidogo, akapata, akaenda. Goliath alikuja akapata publicity kidogo, akapewa na GNZ movement, I'm glad, ndio huyo alienda. So this revolution, it's a test. People will be tested. And that is natural. People will be tested. But the question is, if even this space leo, Afro, leo juu nimesikia mpaka Senator Wauda ana propose tufungiwe space. If that comes to pass, will you stand up? Will you stand up and be counted? If this space was closed, if Twitter was closed, if Instagram and these other spaces were closed, will you still stand up and fight for your country? Will you still continue saying Ruto is the problem? Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves to liberate this country. Our enemy is one. Umenielewa? Na enemy atabebana na watu huku na huku. The other thing that I want to say, let us stop looking things from a tribal angle. Today there are legislators in the Lake region wamedanganywa na wakaambio, and they are selling this narrative to wananchi. Let us help this government get rid of Rigiji because one of our own might be brought there. There is even a narrative that is being peddled by this politician. In case Raila misses the AU seat, he will gladly land the vice president seat. Umeona ujinga yenye inaendelea kwa hii country. So we are having an opposition that is rogue. We are having a government that is rogue. And it will take the people of Kenya. These people are ni wadogo sana, ni wachache. They only comprise 5% of the entire population. So let us not allow the entire population to suffer because of this politician. Now Ruto is determined. Ruto has allowed even governors right now to loot right, left, and center. As long as they have assured him a cut, ODM governors are stealing and looting the counties as long as they are taking something to Raila. UDA governors are looting as long as they remit something back to their party headquarters and to their party leader. That is the nation we are living in. This is a rich nation full of resources, but our leadership is wrong. And we will not get it right by fighting one another. If you don't agree with Morara what he is saying, kindly, kwa sababu Morara hangefanya even Vampire Diaries, haungejua the rot in this government. Yes, you might say no, say it is very early to crop leaders and all this, but everything is sorted politically. If you have a divergent view, Morara amecreate ofisi. Mimi hata mwenye bado sijaenda hiyo ofisi. But I'm appealing to people. If uko na shida na there is an ofisi yenye haina polisi mwenye ataenda pale ama soja akuzuie, go sit down and tell Morara is human like me and you, and you've seen even today Morara is human. He is getting it wrong on security. The moment Morara raised his platform that he is going for the big boys, the big boys feel threatened, and that's where you see they have conspired both the opposition and the government. And once those two forces conspire, it takes me and you in these spaces to protect Morara. Morara has to be advised. He has to get a security, a professional security. People in the diaspora are remitting a lot of money. And those are the questions that we need to ask. I don't disagree with you asking those questions. But let Morara invest that money in himself, in his security. Because there are people who inspire people here. Afro akona wafuasi wake. Kuna kitu Afro akisema, wafuasi wake wanasema, akisema left, wanaenda left. Right now, the republic is so desperate for a savior. Very desperate for a savior. And if we allow to fight, if we will be drawn into fights of fighting one of us mwenye ametuonesha direction, it will be very wrong. So let us, kama ni Morara tutamcorrect huku kando, tukutaneni nyuma ya hema, lakini wacha to focus na huyu adui yetu anaitwa William Samoei Ruto na grupu yake.
Ruto ndo the enemy. We have to literally look at that. So the next woman I'm trying to introduce right now, Manze Rasji, aligned with everything that you have said 100%. Like Manze, andika kitabu to print, kila mtu asome, we'll be on the same page, because I think you have spoken the vein of the movement. Pure blood, pure injection, pure blood. I agree with everything you said. I want to give the microphone right now to a lady I respect a lot, who has been injecting since the Reject Finance Bill. She has been overseas, Kenyans in the diaspora, organizing. Manze, ni ngumu huko Warabuni, Amerikani. What is Europe in Swahili? Tunisaidie. Urupa. Jesus. Ugenini. She has been uniting Kenyans in a lot of ways. And I just respect her opinion and what she has to say about the movement, especially in mobilizing youth, mobilizing diaspora resources, in helping Kenyans who need resources overseas and also in Kenya. Without further much ado, Maj, karibu kwenye space. Mike ni yako.
Hi Afro, how are you?
Blessed, labda wewe.
Niko sawa. It's been a long time, and thanks for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, wherever you are. I'm going to try to be very brief. My opinion that I'm going to share is really very controversial, but just bear with me. That's who I am. I would just like to request that there are people, of course, who have put themselves at the front line. And really, nobody is perfect. Morara is not perfect. Kasmuel is not perfect. And I feel like we're concentrating more on their weaknesses, but not on their strengths. The government that we are fighting is a rogue government. So what do we need? Strict and book smart people. So the moment we see something wrong on our people and we keep shouting, I keep citing Vikings. You have somebody and their shield is broken and they're at the front. And you're there going, the shield is broken. So the enemy is listening to that. And the enemy is actually also really putting them on the spotlight. But what we are doing at the moment is currently just tearing them down. They don't know it's their first time. And actually, the reason why they're out there is because the government has failed. And there is, as we speak, a vacuum. You know, if the government was doing everything right, or even 80%, we wouldn't have these people out there. So I'd like to really just highlight out there that nobody can get it the very right first time, the right in the right way. And of course, there are people, there are veterans in politics who are going to pull them aside and tell them, hey, can you do this for us? This is the right direction. So they're listening to these people, they're listening to the enemy, but they're also listening to you, to us. We are not helping them if we are fighting them all the time. I mean, we can call them, like somebody said, let's talk behind the tent. Let's do that. So we have two people that I don't want to really conflict further and say, well, these are the leaders, but these are two who have put themselves at the front line there. Now we need a third one and probably also a fourth one. We need to have diversity because, there are things that are playing at the background. You will never know what is going on. So when you put your eggs in one basket, you're going to be coming here screaming and saying, well, but he did something else. This is not what we agreed on. We should really also learn that politics sometimes is about, making compromises. I will tell you, I've seen two strengths. I've seen a serious strength in Morara. I've also seen a serious strength in Kasmuel, and we need to combine forces. This is what I want to say. And after I don't want to take a lot of time, yes, I just want to really, I understand that people are very, very upset. And this is because you're not getting your needs are not being addressed. But in the beginning of the movement, I and other people said the power you have is really being tribeless. As you see, they're pulling the tribe card again. When they brought in Raila, they say, whoa, Nyanza is in. Now the Shago, don't touch the mountain. Mudavadi is in there and Mutangala. So guys, if you want to fight, and I'll repeat it once again, the tribalism has to go. It's the biggest factor, but these people factor in, and it works every other day. So let's just work towards that, and let's just have some more patience, because really, even the guys who go out there and want to do something, it's not like they're prepared. It's really just their first time. So let's also, it's a battlefield that you do not prepare for, but you're in there. And remember, you're in the battlefield. You have no business fighting somebody who's trying to really fight for you. Well, I know it's complicated, but you really just let's try not to weigh them down, because by the end of the day, if you do that, Ruto is probably just before he goes to bed, checks the timeline and say, oh, wow, yes, that's working out very nicely. So lastly, one thing insight I want to just share. The impeachment motion is a serious distraction. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And if it happens, then the replacement must come from the central Kenya. If the government is clever, if it goes to another region, they actually lose the next election. So I think that's a distraction we need to avoid. And so just finally, I would like to really just encourage, no matter the dissatisfaction that people have with the government. We have a rogue government here. We have criminals here. We have, bandits out there. You want to send only street people to fight the bandits? We need, even the movement, we need people who are street smart. So combine all of that. And yes, as we combine, the diaspora is also really out there. And thanks, Afro. Thanks everyone else from the diaspora. And so the Dutch diaspora is organizing a demonstration around the Maandamano Day. look, I think I pinned the tweet. Do share it, and that is how we show also our resistance from here. We did that during the visit where Ruto came to Germany. We also, went in there and represented the fallen heroes. Yeah, so let's keep fighting. Let's not use our energy to fight the people who are out there trying to fight. They are going to buy people. They try to reach out to many people, me inclusive. So really, guys, just look at it from that point of what do you want to get, and get that, and don't tear yourself apart because of billionaires. That doesn't look good. Thank you so much, Afro and everyone, and it was a pleasure joining you guys. I give back the mic to Afro.
Thank you so much, Marge, for your submission. I agree and support everything you say. Marge, before you drop, I have a question for Marge. How can you encourage diasporans to keep on giving resources, time, efforts to the movement when some key figures? I saw a tweet that was very divisive. And one thing I've been trying to people listen to the tone or the language. Anything that tries to divide us on tribe, on ageism, tries to separate this generation or this generation. Today there was a lot of Kikuyu and Kalenjin versus Luo, like things we don't even subscribe to. That's how you know we're being infiltrated. Like our conversation is being. Who speaks like that in Gen Z? On the tribe, we're trying to be. There's a classism also going on. So whatever, and also religion. Anyone who's trying to divide us, because these are ways we can divide it. Diaspora versus local Kenyans. So many ways you can be divided. We can be diced, because when we get diced and sliced, then they rule. And once you can understand, like, this is the card they are playing, then it is very easy for us to dismiss those voices. Because don't get me wrong, our communities or our nation's most articulate voices define what happens. They define the status quo, like whatever, they define whatever is in everyone's consciousness, the community consciousness. You can think that there are so many people who are supporting Ruto. Kumbe, Ruto has just paid one person in Inoro FM, another person in Capital FM, another person on Space. And you just think, we have lost. Kumbe wamelipwa. So Marge, in closing, how can diaspora keep up the support and keep on pushing despite discouragements which are coming in?
Yes, thanks for the
Marge.
very important question. I'd like to really state that diaspora has played a huge role and will keep playing a huge role in the future. So as we speak now, the diaspora actually delivered a win to Azimio during the last elections. And in as much as that win was very small, because we were not registered, there was not so many people registered because we were not voting everywhere, registering in in every embassy. That's why the number was small. But still, that win had an impact. Why? When Ruto was coming to Germany, he had to come with Baba, because Baba and Martha are the winners of the diaspora currently. So Baba had to sweep clean before, Ruto speaks. And even at the I think you guys saw in YouTube. So in the US too, they were there. Of course, they're still campaigning together, but just so that you understand, at least for those who don't understand the impact. Now, a lot of diasporans are really keen on helping, but the government on the other side is also keen on ensuring that diasporans don't get their rights to voting implemented as such, because they know, the government knows, not only this one, but even the previous ones, that diaspora is going to not vote in tribal lines, but they're going to look at different criteria. Now, we are currently really just observing and helping. We will keep helping. I will not say that we are 100%, clean. Of course, there are as few people in the diaspora who are also, following their own, agendas that we cannot, deny. But the majority of diasporans are keen to help change, bring positive change, because, and the reason why you saw even last time people coming out during the finance bill to to protest is because it also affected them directly. So what affects you in Kenya affects also your diasporan relative, or even the diasporans who are not your relatives, because if there's corruption, we cannot invest there. We take our money somewhere else. So we will keep helping because we want to help our motherland. We have a wave of right wing, growing stronger in Europe. So we need to protect our home, Kenya. So the division that's coming, or the tweet that you're talking about, Afro, we cannot tell the motivation, but we want to say that we will stay above it and try to look at, how can we ensure that many people get further access to education? If, for example, the bilateral, agreement between Germany and Kenya is being mentioned, we as diasporans want to tell them also the negatives about these bilateral agreement, but also then the positives too, and then make sure that they go back to their countries and help. So we want to really keep developing our country too, because we cannot only be developing the developed countries already. So no, the diaspora will not feel intimidated or divided by any people out there. Currently, that's why I'm telling you guys, pitch yourself there. So Morara currently, and if you're listening, you're doing a good job. Has also a huge support base in the diaspora. We have Casmel also has a huge diaspora support. We're going to support you people. We're going to support those who are coming up to try to push for change. So don't feel intimidated. Just be true to yourself and just don't really put all your hopes on somebody. Don't let it be like when I pick the microphone, I have to speak exactly what you want to hear. When I say something different, a little different, it's also okay. It's democracy. Just look at any other things that I said which would work for the republic, which would work for good governance. So we're in there for good governance. We haven't given up. We'll ask you not to give up. And finally, this is really draining. I'd like to tell everyone to try to take a break, because we have an alternative. But if I was living in Kenya, I would be crying every day, because the government has made it, a task of the citizens to defend themselves every day. Every day, that's how much this government hates the people. It's horrible, and this is the anger that you see, that people are really just abusing it. It's just the anger. So try to have a break from all these, some time out from internet, because otherwise guys can go crazy. Today was one of those days where I was thinking, oh my gosh, the internet, the timeline was just lighting it. No, guys, and you do not deserve this. It's your government putting you through this. Try to find some strategies to really manage and still be able to, defend and work hard for good governance, but nevertheless take care of your mental health and put bread on your table. And there's unemployment in Kenya. There are things like what? Kufa dereva, kufa makanga. Print t-shirts and sell. Make money off these goons. You have to make money off them. You see, that's the incentive you have as you fight, because it is going to take a little longer for them to change. No, you find something going on, print a t-shirt, print a printer, a key holder, something, just survive while we do all these things. And so, yeah, we are supporting. We'll keep supporting and keep the good fight. Thank you, Afro, and back to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Guys, let's remain unified in this fight for good governance, transparency, and accountability. I want to give the microphone to Sigrid. Uko hapo? Karibu kwenye mic.
So let me drop for someone, Afro, yeah, so that at least somebody else can get up. Okay.
Bet. Good. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Afro. It has been really long since I came back to X-Space to just give a view. I just wanted to say, like, I think I've stayed like a month or two without coming to X-Space, because I don't know, there's some video of some guy who was trying to explain to Kenyans what the movement meant for us. And for some of us, it was like the last hope. And so when we started seeing people talking different languages, like some people went into depression. Some people, like, for some of us, it just hit us so bad, So we took a break. I think I'm coming to X-Space after just seeing the spirit of Kenyans today. I got a little bit happy and felt like, okay, let me go back to X and see what Kenyans are up to. I want to reiterate what other people have already talked about. Like, if you feel like you can do something, just go out to the streets and take these spaces. You see, it is easy for us to criticize people like Morara, for example, or even give an opinion about these people who are coming out. But you see, most of them, they came out on their own accord. Morara actually built himself. We saw this guy coming and talking on roads and doing something, and so if you feel like, for example, you're a leader or a politician or anything, why can't you just come out? Kenyans are going to support you. I swear, like, if you come out and show us what you've got, if you can also, like, go to the streets and do what people like Morara are doing, you are creating a niche. You are creating a niche for your own self, and it doesn't matter whether you want to cash from it. Just go out. It will also help us, so that these people don't feel like, okay, now we are over concentrating on this man. We want to have multiple voices, and not just on X spaces. We want to see people who, okay, somebody already talked about different professions. So there, I know, like, people who are on agriculture, some on AI, some on tech. Just create a niche for yourself and say that, you know what, when people are talking about governance, myself, this is my contribution. And when you push a little harder, this is a niche also you're creating for yourself. I want to also talk about the Bomas thing. You see, like, when I say creating a niche, today, for example, we had Morara in the way these ODM goons were bullying. ODM goons were trying to create violence on this man who is harmless. But all of a sudden, there's this woman who just came and shut the hole and took the space and talked, And when we have people like that, Caroline Chemto, or what was her name, Chepto, and more like hundreds of people like that, people who are unexpected, people who go to surprise these politicians, they'll be shocked. They'll be like, okay, we thought it was Morara who was a problem. Kumbe, this thing is bigger than we thought. So that is the issue. Like, if you feel like you have that confidence to be in public, go out. Go out. If you don't have a job, for example, and this courage is your thing, like this politics is your thing, go out and create a niche. Kenyans are going to support you, because as people have talked about it, Kenyans want heroes. Kenyans are desperate for people who can create change, people who have active voices. So don't just sit there and say that, it is easier to criticize Morara and people like that. What are you doing? Go out there. We are going to support you. We are going to do what we can. We've been, personally, I've been contributing even to people like Morara and people who are coming out. And people here in the diaspora, they're doing that. They're contributing to Kenyans, But how will we contribute to you if you're just sitting and criticizing others? Go out, pick a niche. What do you have? What is your strength? Do you have the courage? Go out and help us bring Ruto and Gachagua down. I want to talk to the ODM goons. I know there are people here who are associated or who are friends of these people. It was a party that I had. I was a member of that party until this very last time that they took our space. I want to tell you people, and sorry, because sometimes I start conversations that are very difficult. I want to talk to my people from Luo Nyanza. Please don't allow this government to put this nonsense of, I don't know, impeaching Gachagua to be a face of this. This is the same way they made us to be a face of BBI. This thing is not going to benefit our people. So if we didn't vote even for this government, what is it that now Ruto is coming to tell us that now this one is good and this one is bad? We don't know them. We didn't vote for them. If they are going to fight themselves, let them fight themselves and die there. We didn't vote for this bogus government. It is not part of us. If they are going to kill each other, that's their own problem. It's not our problem. Now you are coming to tell us now that now TJ Kajwang, I was so mad because TJ Kajwang, you are coming from a community that has been the